Welcome back, boxing fans, to another great show with Sean and and Lily. But Lily ran upstairs, so just Sean. So Sean on boxing today. We're going to be talking about quite a few topics that have popped up over the last few weeks or few days. Obviously, there's talk about Golovkin being nominated and joining the Boxing Hall of Fame. You know, John Boxing is going to love that when that happens. Just imagine when Golovkin becomes a Hall of Famer, basically 1 year after retiring. That's going to piss some people off. What's up with Janibek going to the PBC to fight Lara? Well, to be fair, I mean, if Janibek needs to fight Lara with the PBC, there's no issue. Boxing fans should be happy that fights are being made, regardless of what platform it's showcasing on. For Janibek, this is an opportunity to become a 3-belt holder. Only Carlos Adames is going to be the last linchpin for him becoming undisputed. Another opportunity. Imagine if Janibek becomes undisputed at 160. At that point, he's done what the great Devin Haney has done. Anyone watching the UFC? Not me. I'm watching a video about this YouTube boxing guy that's touring the Nike facility in Oregon. The Nike facility is fucking crazy, man. That place is gigantic. Do you put Forrest in the conversation of the Hall? Well, I think all three guys should be Hall of Famers. The question is, for Golovkin, obviously this is a first-time nomination, right? His first year out of the ring, and now he's eligible, so he's being talked about as a Hall of Famer. Obviously, Stephen Collins and Forrest, they've been retired for a long time. So, you know, it's kind of unfortunate that neither of them already have been nominated to the Hall of Fame. So I hope all three guys get nominated. They deserve it. But that's me. Can't find the videos anymore, but it is confirmed Bud Crawford going for 4-time undisputed. What happens if Bud becomes 4-time undisputed champion, Sean? I don't know if anything happens. Him going to 160 and, say, beating Janibek to become an undisputed champion, I mean, obviously that's not as significant as him beating Errol Spence, and it's not as significant as him beating Canelo Alvarez. So, I mean, it's another cherry on top of a great career. But what he's already done in 3 weight divisions may never be duplicated. Him doing it in 4 just kind of puts a little bit more distance between him and, say, Inouye, because Inouye is in position where he could obviously duplicate Bud Crawford's accomplishment and become a 3-weight undisputed champion as well. And of course, if he does that, you know, that would be sensational as well. I don't know about Forrest. He beat Mosley twice. Yep. Do you think this means maybe Crawford is getting ready to fight Carlos Adames? Well, you think that must be the way it's going to pan out, right? Like, to be fair and honest, like, you know, Crawford fight Carlos Adames, Janibek fight Lara, and then they can fight each other for undisputed. Bud and Adames are homeboys. Really? Well, then I guess Adames is happy to get a big payday. But, you know, for me, I'm just happy, unlike True School Sports, that at least we're getting the fights. Yeah, at least we're getting the fights. As a boxing fan, that ultimately should be the only thing you're fucking worried about. At least we're getting the fights. Yes, at least we're getting the fights. The biggest problem boxing fans have is when we aren't getting the fights. And then you got to look at fucking sanctioning bodies, promotional companies, fucking, and all the rest of the bullshit that stops us from getting the fights. Duh. Of course what we want is the fights. Only people that are trying to push some fucking bullshit narrative are concerned about, you know, White being promoter, Turkey Al Sheikh putting money into the sport. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, if these guys are willing to work with other people to make great fights, that should be the ultimate check that they're doing something fantastic. An example, Turki Ali Sheikh just made a deal with Boxer to put fight cards onto the BBC. That's great. Great for UK boxing, great for normal boxing fans. Fights are going to be on the BBC. And obviously, that keeps boxer fighters in the picture. And Turki Ali Sheikh continues to support boxing globally. Uh, Hiroka and Russell is a great fight also. I just hate that we have to watch it on the Jake Paul Tank card. I know. That's why I said with that, I'll probably watch the Hiroko Russell fight, but then I probably won't watch the Tank Davis Jake Paul fight. Sean, are you the only one talking about Night of the Samurai card? These cats out here only talk about Tank versus Paul. Yeah, because they're fucking what I just said. These dudes are only here to push a narrative. They're not boxing fans. They don't love the sport of boxing. Don't give me that shit. Well, that we get those guys good exposure. Case in point, nobody is setting up cookouts in the grill because of Barrios. Did you hear about Pitbull versus Roach being on pay-per-view? I didn't, but at the same time, it's a PBC fight card. So would anybody be shocked or surprised that another PBC fight is on pay-per-view? That's all the fucking PBC does is do pay-per-view. So I would not be surprised at all. But let's get to this shit. So here we go. Topic number 1 for today, hype job. So I see a lot of people, specifically LDBC guys, pushing this narrative about Devin Haney being the next one, right? Obviously, the LDBC, they've put all their resources together to try to hype up and fanboy for Devin Haney. They've been doing it for a few years now. And John Boxing, we see now trying to talk about why Devin Haney is the guy who's ultimately going to be pound for pound number 1 when Bud Crawford retires, right? And that's the irony. You can see what he's doing. He's moving the chess pieces in position so he can push his narrative and then say, look, I talked about it a year and a half ago. So, if you don't agree with me, you're a racist. Because ultimately, that's the kind of bullshit you're going to get from these kind of racially charged boxing fans. Is Devin Haney a top 10 pound for pound fighter? Probably. Is Devin Haney the number 1 pound for pound fighter in boxing today? No fucking chance. Is Devin Haney number 1 pound for pound boxing fighter over the next 5 years? Could happen. But as far as I'm concerned and what I've seen from Devin Haney, I think it's very unlikely. Unlikely. First of all, even if Usyk and Bud Crawford and Canelo Alvarez all retire and better BF, you still have Bivol and Inouye. Both Bivol and Inouye have accomplished more than Devin Haney. Devin Haney was undisputed. Congratulations. So was Inouye in 2 weight divisions. So is Bivol, also been at 175 pounds. And the people Bivol beat, Canelo Alvarez, Zurdo Ramirez, and better BF, those 3 opponents are better than the top 3 opponents you can call out on Devin Haney's resume. You're going to call out what? George Kambosos, Vasily Lomachenko, and Regis Prograis? You're going to compare those 3 fighters to Zurdo, Canelo, and better BF? Really? Because that shit makes no sense at all. One guy has fought 2 guys that are undisputed champions. One guy who's a unified champion and a 2-weight champion. The other guy fought a unified champion, 3-weight world champion in Lomachenko. Regis Prograis, who's a 1-weight world champion, but been a champion twice, was unified, I think, for 2 belts at one point. And then, of course, George Kambosos, who had one great fight against Teofimo Lopez, which made him a unified champion. Not one of them has been undisputed. But this is the problem with some of these so-called boxing fans. They just want to jam their narratives down your throat. And if Devin Haney goes on to prove he is the best, then He's proven he's the best. But at this point, based on what he's doing and what he's done, you got to fucking slow your roll. The irony is, you look at a guy like Junto Nakatani, who's getting zero credit for moving up to his fourth weight division to take on a pound for pound top fighter in Inui. Yet Devin Haney's getting tons of push and hype moving up to his third weight division, 3 versus 4, to fight Brian Norman Jr., a one belt holding champion. As if that's comparable to Junto Nakatani moving to his fourth division to fight for undisputed against a pound for pound fighter like Inui. You can see who's really challenging themselves with the best potential fights available. And that's obviously Junto Nakatani, not Devin Haney. And this is nothing against Brian Norman. Brian Norman as well might turn out to be fucking one of the 10 best fighters in boxing over the next 5 years. But at this point, he's done nothing. He's beaten nobody. That Loma robbery still hurts my head. Me too. Pacquiao facing Rolly, that shit makes me want to puke. Yeah, once again, the PBC, right? This is the PBC jamming fights down our throats that nobody's interested in. I didn't want to watch Pacquiao versus fucking Barrios. I definitely don't want to see Pacquiao versus Rolly Romero. We know what those fights are. Cash grabs. That's all. To this day, do you think Norman is going to beat Haney? I don't. I feel Haney is going to outbox Norman. Norman has never been in with a slick fighter in his career. The two fighters he beat, Santillan and the Japanese guy, are both one-dimensional limited fighters without great boxing pedigree. So Devin Haney is a much more difficult opponent than either one of those guys, who brings the fight to Brian Norman. Brian Norman is going to have to find Devin Haney. And that's the question. Can he? Is his jab good enough? Does he have good enough feet? We don't know because we've never seen him do it. Does that mean he can't do it? No. Maybe he will score a sensational knockout. Devin Haney will no longer even be a talked about topic of conversation if he gets knocked out by Brian Norman. And Brian Norman now becomes, a hot commodity in the U.S. market. To this day, there's still not one fight analysis video that shows how Devin won the Loma fight. Every single analysis explains how Loma won. Well, because Loma won. Well, that's kind of what I don't care for with Pacquiao. He kind of looked weird fights that were lame. Come on, man. Pacquiao taking on Thurman, taking on Mario Barros, taking on Rolly Romero are legitimate fights for Pacquiao. The problem is Pacquiao is not a legitimate opponent for fucking those guys. They should be fighting other world champions, trying to unify titles. But we know what they're doing. They're taking on the 45-year-old, 47-year-old Manny Pacquiao to fucking get paid. And the PBC is going to get more money by promoting those fights. So that's the whole reason we're getting fights that nobody wants. I haven't heard anybody really fucking gushing about Pacquiao versus fucking Rolly Romero. Well, Ryan is flat-footed and not a very intelligent boxer. Yeah, but David, look at the way Devin Haney fought Ryan Garcia. He didn't fight him conventionally. He tried to knock him out because he felt, like all of us felt, that Ryan Garcia was fucking mental, out of shape, not focused, and easy pickings, right? And that was exactly what should have happened. He should have easily beat Ryan Garcia. But unfortunately, he went in overly confident, brought the fight to Ryan Garcia, and gave him the only opportunities he could get, which were, a fighter bringing it to him so he could let his left hand go. I think Pacquiao wants to rest, but his wife wants him to fight again. I don't think so. You say there are fights nobody wants, but there's a reason Manny is a payday. No, Jay Cool, there's not. Manny's not a fucking payday. The Mario Barros-Manny Pacquiao fight did not do huge pay-per-view numbers. Manny Pacquiao is not fucking Mike Tyson. His pay-per-view fucking stardust has long left him, right? And the whole Pacquiao-Floyd Mayweather fight, that was part of it. That not only tried to ruin boxing, but it also hurt both Pacquiao and Floyd. because who wanted to watch either one of those guys fight after that bullshit fucking disappointing performance from both of them? Sure, Floyd won, but it wasn't a great performance. It's not memorable. The LDBC member said Tank can do whatever he wants, but Bud Crawford got more to do. Can't make this up. Imagine the stupidity in that comment. Tank Davis can do whatever he wants, yet he's never done anything. Bud Crawford is being talked about as potentially the best boxer of all time right now. Nobody is using those kind of big statements to talk about fucking Tank Davis. Most people are like, I hope Tank Davis retires so I don't need to deal with his bullshit anymore. Even Tank Davis fans are saying that now because they see the inevitable, that he's going to retire. He's going to let them down. So now they're fucking moving away from him. Look at John Boxing as an example. You said the only reason Rolly is fighting Manny is because they want a payday. Yeah. Them wanting a payday and them getting a payday that they think they're going to generate are two different things. It's the same as if Spence fights Charlo. You would think potentially both guys could get good paydays out of it, but who knows if that can actually generate a lot of pay-per-view buys at this point of their careers because they're fucking both washed. They're not interesting. They're not relevant. But you understand why the PBC is doing it because they're trying to use their name recognition to fucking fleece the fans. Dumbasses like you, J. Cool, who doesn't spend money to buy these fights anyway. Hey, Sean, how you been, mate? All good, Gaza. Would you like to see Christopher Diaz and G.O.A.T get more chances? It pisses me off that the establishment has swept them under the rug. David, the establishment has not swept them under the rug. Those two fighters have got more opportunities than they deserve. We don't even need to see either one of them fight again for a world title. They've had multiple opportunities. Multiple. Some people never get any. So stop with that bullshit. LDBC don't even like Tank. That's true. They don't. But he did say one member of the LDBC. He didn't say the LDBC, Jay. So maybe read carefully. I'm still a big Sugar Nunez fan, but he did look human. Garcia changed. Devin, though. Now Valdez is calling Nunez out. Laugh out loud. Christmas Diaz said he would like to face Valdez. Who cares? It's a good fight, but it's not a fight anyone is fucking going to lose sleep over if it doesn't happen. It's just a fight. If it happens, congratulations. It's not going to headline anyway. But let's move forward. Like, some people will say this is hating on Devin Haney, but I'm not hating on Devin Haney. I just see the constant hype and the double standard, trying to make it seem as if Devin Haney is going to become pound for pound number one by beating Brian Norman Jr., a fighter who you can't even tell me won A-level win on his resume. Not one. But yet we're going to talk about how competition means something. But competition only means something when we're talking about non-black fighters. When it's black fighters, they don't need competition. They're going to get hyped regardless. LDBC, Wilder done more than a Nui. Come on, man. Well, nobody fucking can say that with a straight face. Give me those guys over this slow shit we are suffering from. Laugh out loud. Well, David, calm down. We always fucking have gaps in boxing. And if you remember back to when I started watching boxing, we didn't get nearly as much boxing as we get now. There was boxing today as well. It might not be the biggest and baddest fight cards ever, but before we used to be fucking excited to watch Tuesday night fights. Tuesday night fights weren't superstar fighters. They were fucking guys that weren't even household names. But we were excited to watch it. I'd go to bars to do stuff knowing that the bar had a TV so I could watch Tuesday night fights because I didn't want to miss out. I'm surprised Haney is the betting underdog for that fight. I'm not surprised. Put it in context. When you look at who Devin Haney's beaten compared to who Brian Norman has fought, Brian Norman has fought literally nobody. If Devin Haney was fighting Santillan, that would also be a huge fucking favorite for Devin Haney, right? Santillan was just offered as an opponent for Sanders Zayas. right, from obviously Top Rank. And Xander Zayas and his team walked away from that thinking, this dude fucking doesn't deserve a world title fight. He's not a good opponent. He's nobody that's going to benefit me fighting him. So they said, fuck that guy. I'm not fighting him. And now they're trying to get a unification fight with a WBA champion, right? That tells you everything you need to know. That Santillan that Xander Zayas is walking away from is the best name on Norman's fucking resume. That's just true. But let's move forward. So I was looking through social media, and they were talking about Ring Magazine champions who defended Ring Magazine's titles the most. And so these three boxers show their greatness because all three of them have literally defended Ring Magazine titles 7 times, right? G.O.A.T, 7 defenses at cruiserweight. Rocha wasn't somebody that Norman fought. Santillan fought him. Bud Crawford, obviously 7 title defenses through 4 weight divisions. Alexander Usyk, 7 ring title defenses through 2 weight divisions, right? This just shows you their greatness and why when people talk about pound for pound great fighters, they talk about Usyk and Crawford. And G.O.A.T is on many people's pound for pound list. For me, I think he still needs to beat Zurdo Ramirez to be put onto that list. And when he beats Zurdo Ramirez, then I will sign off on him. But that's the same as David Benavidez. I don't think he's a pound for pound top 10 fighter either, right? My guy Virgil Ortiz out there ducking smoke. Yes, he is. I don't think Santillan is that good either, but he ain't terrible either. He ain't terrible. Rox put up a good performance against Raul Curiel, even though Raul Curiel is who? What has he done? Who's he beat? Right? These guys are not even top 10 contenders, truthfully, in good divisions. The irony with this is who's the fighter that's made the most Ring Magazine title defenses out of all active and current fighters? Leave in the comment section below. Do you guys know which fighter has made the most title defenses of Ring Magazine? Virgil is a fun subject to talk about. Virgil is a great fighter, and he's in with great competition. But it's just unfortunate that every time he gets an opportunity to fight for a world title, he moves in a different direction. But who do you think has made the most Ring Magazine title defenses? I'm curious how many Ring Magazine title defenses did Lomachenko make? Let's ask AI. How many Ring Magazine title defenses did Vasily Lomachenko make? Gaza says Anui. Not Tank Davis? Not Devin Haney? Anyone else have a prediction? Boomers need to let go of their power and put younger people in there. 70s, 80s, 90s, year-old people should not be running a country. Canelo? Canelo would be a smart choice, right? You would think Canelo definitely is there. Vasily Lomachenko made 3 successful Ring Magazine title defenses at lightweight. Was he only a Ring Magazine champion at lightweight? Is Madrimov great? Not great, but good. Crawford had just beaten him, and Boholjuk had looked like garbage in his last 2 fights. Granted, Adams is a good fighter. Well, some fighters just have your number. And Adams obviously has Boholjuk's number. So how is Virgil facing great opposition? David, you always have radical fucking feeling, man. Right? You fighting Madrimov, Boholjuk, and now Lubin, you're fighting 3 legitimate top 10 ranked 154 opponent fighters. 3 top 10. Plus you're 4. So out of the 10 fighters that are ranked in the top 10, you fought 3 of the 10 that are available to you, or 3 of the 9 that are available to you, leaving 6 other fighters you haven't fought. But if you look at Xander Zayas, has he fought one top 10 opponent. If you look at the Abbas, how many top 10 fighters has he fought? Murtazaliev, how many top 10 fighters has he fought? Fucking Von Duro, how many top 10 fighters has he fought? Like, this is Virgil's second weight division. He hasn't been there very long. Only 3 fights. This is going to be his 4th fight at that division, I think. Where's Stringer from above? Bud beats Canelo. Laugh out loud. Lubin is great. Nobody said great. Great opponents. David, come on, man. Madrimov, the only one that calls out Murtazaliev. When you face top 10, legitimate top 10 opponents, you're fighting great fucking opponents. You're not cherry picking dudes outside the top 10. You're not pulling fighters up in weight. Evan Deere is still messing up his room and banging his head on the wall. Probably. But yes, my man was right. Inouye with 13 Ring Magazine title defenses. Inouye. Inouye is doing it on a whole nother fucking level. I stated this before when you talk about Bud Crawford. He's never, ever defended an undisputed title. Not at 140, not at 147, currently not at 168. Yes, cheers. Gaza got it correct. Right, Inouye is doing exactly what you want fighters to do. Beat world champions and then continue to fucking clear out the division by beating all the other top guys available to you. Unfortunately, he's doing that. Usyk is doing that. Crawford never really did that. And you know, Canelo was doing it a bit at 168 recently as well. But obviously, losing to Bud Crawford changes all of that. I thought Madrimov outboxed Virgil. Stringer was saying he can't wait until Canelo sparks Crawford. And most people think Bohulchuk beat Virgil also. I think Bohulchuk beat Virgil. I don't think Madrimov did. No fucking chance. Paul think I'm crazy for thinking Madrimov outboxed Virgil, but I went back and watched the fight a second time. But David, you're just trying to confirm your bias. So with you going back and watching a fight, you're only going to go back and look for what supports what you're looking for. It's like when people use stats to fucking justify what they're doing. That's what you're doing. You're rewatching a fight to justify your prediction, right? Because you're the only guy that feels that Madrimov outboxed fucking Virgil. Literally, the only guy in boxing. Usyk isn't really doing it. He fought the same guys 3 times. There are so many contenders left to fight. See, once again, Jay Cool, what are you talking about? So many contenders. You tell me one top contender from heavyweight that Usyk needs to fight. Go. You beating Fury, AJ, Chisora. That's aged well, that fight. And now, obviously, Dubois. Who else is there? Cabal will beat the brakes off of it. You say that, but, you know, a year ago, you didn't even know who fucking Cabal was. Literally. You would have said fucking Deontay Wilder would have knocked him out in fucking 1 round. Do you think Lima is being slept on? I don't know. I don't know anything about the kid, so I don't know if he's better than expected or worse than expected. I guess we'll find out. Madrimov is the only one that called out Murtazaliev. Also, Madrimov said he was sick with bronchitis in the Virgil fight. Well, it's always easy to make excuses after you get beat. If that's the case, we should see him bounce back with a good win sometime soon. I asked your opinion before on Mosley Jr. and Ramos. Ramos should win, but Mosley is tough. Yes, I said Ramos should win. But unfortunately for Ramos, him moving up to 160 to get that world title fight, he might have to wait on that because he might be pushed out of that division now that Bud Crawford is moving there and they're going for undisputed. Ramos is going to be sitting around and waiting his turn, watching. But Inouye, the number 1 fighter to defend Ring Magazine titles, 13 times compared to Usyk, Bud, and Opataya, who only did it 7. So almost twice as much. And obviously, his next fight is going to be 14. So he's going to have twice as many title defenses of Ring Magazine compared to those 4. Crawford hasn't defended his undisputed titles because every time he becomes undisputed, he's looking to move up and win another title and become undisputed at a higher division. Jay, cool. That's fine and dandy. But the point is, at 140 pounds, you could understand that. You already cleared out the division, and the PBC fighters ducked you. At 147, the division was cleaned out, outside of Ortiz and Boots, who both ducked you. So it's understandable you didn't fight anyone there. But then you went up to 154, you won a title, you got ducked by the PBC again, and then you got a fucking lifetime achievement opportunity, so you went and did it. Now you're at 168. You could make a title defense at 168. But now you're going down to 160 to take on lesser opposition. There's bigger names and more money available at 168 than there is at 160. And if you went to 175 to do something great, fighting Bivol, you would literally be doing something great. Going down to 160 is a step backwards. How much praise is Crawford going to get for beating Carlos Adames or Janibek? 2 fighters that most boxing fans don't even know who the fuck they are. It's a win that looks great on your resume based on the accomplishments you've accomplished, but it's not a name that anyone's going to fucking get hyped over. Shout out to Madrimov. He was sick and still fought like Schofield and Dubois. Maybe they are going to make Ramos and Adames. Crawford hasn't said definitively that he is fighting again. I'm just surprised that we are getting a fight like Lara Janibek. Well, it's because Carlos Adames is a ducking bitch. So, they needed the 3-year-old to step up. At 147, Crawford was stripped of undisputed in the span of a blink. That's true. I don't think guys like Mbili and Iglesias are big names, but I would give Crawford a lot of credit if he fought them. Well, I didn't say Mbili and Iglesias were big names at 168, but you have other names that have name recognition behind them, right? You could fight Charlo at that weight class, and he's a bigger name than any of the opponents you fought, and it's probably easy pickings compared to most of those guys as well. But you have more name recognition at 168 than you do at 160. That's my point. So there's talk about Anthony Joshua being a Hall of Famer. And actually, people are debating this. And I think, what do you mean you're debating this? Where's the fucking debate? Anthony Joshua is 100% a first ballot Hall of Famer. This is a 2-time unified heavyweight champion, a gold medal winning Olympian, a guy that beat guys that were world champions like Martin, obviously Klitschko, Parker, Ruiz, right? And top fighters like Pulev, Povetkin, Dillian White. Has he lived up to be the best heavyweight of all time? No. His chin, his toughness, not toughness, but his chin let him down in that respect. But as far as his career, come on, man. If people are talking about Deontay Wilder being a Hall of Famer because he made 10 title defenses, then you got to stop the cap, because AJ had a way better career than fucking Deontay Wilder. He actually unified world titles against world champions, something that Deontay Wilder was never able to do. Janibek, Adames, and Lara are great, legit wins. Does great for his career. You can retire a 6th division world champion. Yeah, but that's what you're doing. Like John Boxing talks about opponents, the level of opposition. You fighting Adames, Janibek, and Lara, they are solid names, but not one of those 3 at this point are great names. You becoming a 6 weight world champion is great. It puts you into an esteemed level because there's only what 5 fighters in boxing history who've accomplished that. So you add another linchpin to your already stellar career. But the criticism people had towards your resume isn't necessarily being changed by fighting guys like that. Janibek at this time hasn't done much with his resume. The best thing that Adamus did was beat an overhyped British fighter. And Lara, his best days have long been fucking past him. A lot of people shit on Lara, but credit to the guy. I know True School isn't big on Lara, but he's big on fucking Carlos Adames. I mean, sorry, on fucking Demetrius Andrade. Lara would have fucking destroyed Andrade. Turkey wants to make another big fight for Haney after he fights Norman. I forget the guy's name he mentioned. I think it might be Barrios. Well, that's not a big fight. If you're having fucking Devin Haney fight Mario Barrios, a guy most people think just lost to fucking a 46-year-old Manny Pacquiao. Come on. I heard John Boxing saying 100% Devin Haney is going to go up to 154 and fight Boots Ennis after he beats fucking Brian Norman, and I just laughed. It's like, no, there's a 0% chance of Devin Haney moving up to 154 to take on fucking Boots Ennis. He will stay at 147 and fight Mario Barrios or Manny Pacquiao, which he would love to fight Pacquiao. Right? If Pacquiao was able to beat fucking what's-his-face. And then, of course, who else is there? Ryan Garcia. So already you got Barrios, Pacquiao, Ryan Garcia all sitting there at 147 pounds, which are big fights financially. Not great fights outside of the finance aspect, but you can understand why Devin Haney would move in that direction. But that doesn't prove greatness at all. Boots Ennis is a fucking bum. Come on, Nick. Haney and Abel Ramos. Abel Ramos? Who wants to watch fucking Abel Ramos? Fucking that guy's almost as old as Manny Pacquiao. But what do you guys think about Anthony Joshua? Do you think also he's a first ballot Hall of Famer? When I saw this, I just thought, these people are mental. They're either just American or they're just ignorant. Because if you don't think AJ is a first ballot Hall of Famer, you don't know shit about boxing. Then here, of course, we have the fights we've been talking about today. This is a clear difference between fights that are money grabs and fights that are legacy grabs, right? Janibek fighting Lara is legacy. If Lara beats Janibek, this confirms him as a future Hall of Famer. He becomes a 3-belt unified champion at middleweight. Probably guarantees him a Bud Crawford fight. And it would definitely be the cherry on top of what has been a good career, but a career that obviously has been, for the most part, ignored by boxing fans, primarily because of Lara's style. Even though he's been in some great fights, but Cubans have never been fighters that have been really embraced by the American boxing fan, unlike Puerto Ricans and Mexicans. As far as Pacquiao versus Rolly Romero, I love Pacquiao. I'm one of Pacquiao's biggest fans in boxing. But this is what it is. This is just another money grab. A young guy chasing after Pacquiao, knowing they're going to get big money to fight a 46, 47-year-old. Pacquiao getting a good payday because he's fighting for world titles. Even though, did he deserve a WBC world title fight versus Barrios? No. Did he deserve a WBA title fight versus fucking Rolly Romero? No. First of all, Rolly Romero never should have been a world champion anyway at that weight division. He should never have been a world champion at any division. He got a gift during the old guy from Colombia, and then this is also another gift. This is more of the problem with the PBC and obviously the bullshit connection they have with the WBA. He's a Hall of Famer for sure. Cody Crowder, Haney, I give Haney a little credit for the Norman fight. Laura had some controversial decisions. I cooled my jets on Janabek after watching him struggle with Denzel Bentley. Pereira just got the KO in the first round. Oh, Pereira was fighting. I like Pereira. If Rolly KOs Pacquiao, he might go to the Hall of Fame. Oh my God, stop, Bobby. You're fucking a troll. This was another interesting topic. Of course, we mentioned this earlier about the three nominees for the Hall of Fame in 2025. Obviously, Golovkin, Steve Collins, and Vernon Forrest. I love seeing this because for years and years, I've been hearing people consistently hate on Golovkin and talking about how he's not a future Hall of Famer. Well, we could get that fucking answered his first year retired. Like that. And wouldn't that be sweet justice to Golovkin boxing fans like myself, right? Who had to deal with so much hate during Golovkin's career. I think Laura Crawford and Iglesias would have all mopped the floor with a dude like Bentley. If Laura hasn't aged further, I might pick him to win. Well, that's the thing. Laura is old, right? I mean, he's 42 years old, I think, right now. Rolly is a three-division champion. If Tank is one, and he will have a Hall of Famer on his resume with Pacquiao. Bobby, you're as stupid as fucking most LDBC fucking boxing channels. Come on, man. Nobody is going to put Pacquiao getting beat by Rolly Romero at 47 years old as a legitimate fucking victory to your resume. It's kind of how nobody talks about Hector Macho Camacho's victory over Sugar Ray Leonard because everybody knows it was irrelevant. When Camacho fought Leonard, Leonard was fucking years and years retired. He was no longer relevant. It was just a money grab, which is what this is. Just a money grab. But I want you guys just to check out this top 10 fighters from the 21st century. I'm going to drop the kids off at the pool really quick. When I get back, let's see if you have any other fighters you think should be on that list. Let me know. Welcome back. So, where are we? Laura has shown good power lately, albeit against bums. They did for Vinny Paz win over Duran. No, they didn't. Come on. Whenever people talk about Duran, nobody mentions Vinny Pazienza. And is Janibek going to pull some shit like delaying the fight? I'm surprised Hopkins isn't on here from 2000 on. All the title defenses, marquee wins, and phenomenal longevity. Well, to be fair, once Hopkins left 160 pounds, I mean, what did he really do? Right? Like, his career was at middleweight. What he did at light heavyweight, he had like what? A couple good victories against fighters that were not bad. I think he had one win pulling Winky Wright up in weight, which kind of makes that illegitimate. And then he beat an old Tarver. And outside of that, what else did he do? Right? None of those guys that were fighting were great fighters. It was just a moment in time. But let's look at this list. So you got Pacquiao, Mayweather. Oh, okay. I guess if you're talking 21st century, that they have these guys on it, I guess B-Hop does deserve to be on that list. You're right. Usyk, Canelo, Fury, Ward, Crawford, Calzaghe, Marquez, and Inouye. I think that Roman Gonzalez should be on this list as well. Roman Gonzalez, obviously, 4-weight world champion. You know, a guy whose resume is better, in my opinion, than Andre Ward. Andre Ward is here, but, you know, what Canelo gets criticized for is fighting Eurobums. Well, Andre Ward's whole career was made out of fighting Eurobums. So it's ironic how people don't criticize him for that. But yeah, B-Hop should be there. I would probably put B-Hop at number 4 or 5. I don't think Tyson Fury deserves to be on the list, but I don't think heavyweights should be on these lists anyways. But I guess, because I mean, if you think, what did Fury do during this period of time? Okay, he beat Klitschko. That's a solid win. And obviously very unexpected at that time. And then he beat Wilder, which in truth wasn't a tough prediction. I predicted that Fury was going to beat Wilder, even though Wilder was cherry-picking him, just because that's how bad Deontay Wilder was. B-Hop beat Tito. Tito, yeah, at 160. Winky pulled him up in weight. Joppy, not that great. Oscar pulled him up in weight. Tarver, old. Pavlik, great win at that time. Roy Jones was shot to bits. What are you talking about? Pascal, fucking, come on. Pascal, old, not great. All from 2000 on. Tyson Fury done more than that. I don't see it. Well, no, I just told you. I don't think Tyson Fury deserves to be on this list either. And in hindsight, we're talking about 2000, right? So let's just quickly look at this. Even though you talk 2000, what did Calzaghe do during the 2000s either? I don't think Calzaghe probably should be on this list. I don't think Fury should be on this list, right? That's two of the guys on the list, I don't think. One of my favorite Hopkins fights was against Antoine Eccles. Antoine Eccles, who was never a great fighter. Imagine if Golovkin was to fight a guy like Antoine Eccles. He would have got zero credit. Zero credit. So B-Hop. Okay, so I go to Canelo, and then I go to Kovalev. Marquez. Marquez knocked out Manny Pacquiao. A prime, legitimate Manny Pacquiao. But I do think one of the problems with Marquez was that he struggled with fighters that he should have dominated because of his style. Yeah, I get it, but that's back when Hopkins was kind of entertaining. That's it. Hey, Bobby, you just said that you think fucking what's his face is future Hall of Famer if he beats a 47-year-old Manny Pacquiao. Marquez beat a prime Pacquiao that was destroying everybody. right? Who was a world champion and a pound for pound top fucking fighter in boxing. So if you can't see the difference of your hypocrisy, I mean, everyone else can see it blatantly. B Hop. So let's see what B Hop did in the years 2000. Oh, I fucking hate BoxRec. Why do I need to fucking sign in every single time? Uh, Look at Rolly's resume to Vinny Pazienza. Look at you, Bobby. You're gonna hate on Vinny Pazienza to dick ride Rolly Romero. The only legitimate fucking victory on Rolly Romero's career is a fucking fighter called Ryan Garcia, who'd been out of the ring for a year because of PED use and has never been a world champion. Outside of that, you tell me who the fuck Rolly Romero beat. Oh man, Marquez was juiced to the gills that night versus Pacquiao. Look at how muscular he was. I mean, he was juiced up hard that fight. You just look at that first overhand right that he hit Pacquiao with and dropped him. And at that point, like his power was way different than it had been in every other fight. Rolly beat Yigit. I thought Marquez was worse about cherry picking than both Floyd and Pacquiao. Well, I wouldn't say he was worse. I mean, he did fight Timothy Bradley, got beat by Tim, but I mean, that's a real legitimate victory. Oh my God, let me just use AI. Who did Bernard Hopkins fight from the year 2000 onward? Who did Bernard Hopkins fight from the year 2000 onward? Uh, Rolly beat Martinez, bum, Yigit, bum, Ryan, bum, Barbosa. He lost that fight. Like literally, you listing who Rolly beat just talks about how much of a troll you really are. Yeah, you're just saying he fought a bunch of bums. Martinez, Yigit, Ryan, Barbosa, and a 47-year-old Pacquiao. But let's look here. Here is the people that B Hop fought. Count all B Hop's title defenses from 2000 on. Calm down, Bobby. That's what I'm doing. I'm not looking at title defenses. I'm looking at who he beat. So he beat Sid Vanderpool, Etwan Eccles, Keith Holmes, Trinidad, Carl Daniels, Hakar, Joppy, Allen, De La Hoya, Eastman. So he did get all his big fights in 2000s, right? So in truth, he definitely should be on this list, specifically above Calzaghe and Tyson Fury. Eastman lost twice to Jermaine Taylor. Tarver, Wright, Calzaghe, lost to Calzaghe. That's three losses. Pavlik, great win. Bum, Jones, Pascal, Dawson, Cloud. Right? Dawson, Pascal, and Cloud, not great fighters. That was all in-house PBC shit that was going on there. And then got beat by Kovalev and beat by Joe Smith. So, yeah, I agree. B Hop definitely deserves to be on this list. But to be fair, I think this is BoxRec's list, and BoxRec are always crazy, so it's no surprise. But I definitely think Roman Gonzalez deserves to be on that list as well. But let's move forward. So here we go. I just saw these quotes and I thought it was interesting. So let's discuss these quotes. B Hop was 46 when he beat Pascal. Yeah, and Pascal was like 42. So let's not act like fucking one guy was old and the other guy was young. They were both fucking old. But here's the two quotes. B Hop was 49 taking out Prime Kovalev. Yeah, and he got fucking dominated. So here's a guy that you could potentially talk about being a Hall of Famer. But Tank Davis didn't fight him. So, of course, Bobby 777 isn't going to hype up Stephen Fulton. But he says, this fight will just put me in the Hall of Fame. It'll stamp it. And to be truthful, if Stephen Fulton moves up to 130 pounds and beats Oshaki Foster to become a three-weight world champion, it's definitely put him in the conversation for the Hall of Fame. He might need to do more, like make a title defense, because when we look at who he beat, his resume isn't the best, right? And obviously, when he had his biggest step up fight, he got blown away by Inui. So, it kind of shows that he is on a certain level, not this level, but this level, right? And is this level Hall of Fame caliber? Generally, in a lot of cases, it is. But Stephen Fulton becoming a three-weight world champion, you think about what he did. Beating Oshaki Foster, if he's able to do that, he's beating a world champion to win a title. Something that Rolly Romero never did. Never, ever. Then you move to 2026 and you beat a world champion to get that title. And obviously at 122, he unified titles. So he obviously beat a champion to unify titles in that as well, Daniel Roman. So literally every single weight division he's been a champion in, he had to beat a champion to earn those titles, right? Not be gifted or given a title, but literally beat a champion. Fulton versus Foster, interesting fight. I like Fulton. I just know you want him to win, so Inui's resume ages great. Well, of course I do. Because all the negativity and criticism people throw towards Inui, this is something that's just going to put pie in their face. How can you fucking talk about Inui not fighting top level opponents when potentially he has a Hall of Fame name on his resume? And this wouldn't be the first Hall of Famer on his resume, right? 115-pound world champion who had fucking, 22 title defenses. He's obviously a Hall of Famer as well. And that was one of Inui's first big wins of his career. What's up, aircraft carrier? Salute. I know your style, Sean. You know my style. You don't know my style because I literally told you that. I said that if Fulton becomes a three-weight world champion, that ages great on Inui's resume. Just like people say, oh, Canelo, his win versus Munguia aged bad because Munguia got beat by a bum. So there you go. People love to push victories that they can use to discredit as opposed to use wins that you can use to credit. Like you're trying to credit Rolly Romero. Look at this statement. Where's your statement? Here you go. This is you trying to credit Rolly Romero. Compare this to what I said. Rolly beat Martinez, Yigit, Ryan, Barbosa, and soon Pac-Man. That's what you're saying to justify him as a future Hall of Famer. AB's best win is an old Paulie. Yeah, and Adrian Broner as well. No fucking significant wins. Four-weight world champion, and who did he fight? Nobody. He doesn't deserve to get in because every time he fought a legitimate opponent, he got fucking punked. Who's his best win? Come on, Bobby. Tell us Adrian Broner's best win of his career. You know, when he fought Paulie Malignaggi, the irony with that victory is Paulie wasn't even considered a top 10 147-pound fighter. That's how good the welterweight division was when Broner moved up to it. And he took on the weakest champ available in Paulie Malignaggi, the guy that had no fucking power at all. I don't think AB is a Hall of Famer. Because once again, as I say, what's fucking his best victory? Paulie? A split decision against Paulie. Technically, they call Rolly a three-division champion. I'm just saying, don't be surprised. How is Rolly a three-division champion? He was never a champion at 135. He was a champion at 140 and now 147. So how is he a three-weight world champion? Paulie can't crack an egg. Broner's best win was probably DeMarco. Yeah, and how far back do you have to go for that win, right? And DeMarco at that time was old and already been beaten several times, so it's still probably his best win. An old Paulie for me, and it was a close fight. Hood. But let's look at this other statement. You can look at one guy looking for a great win for legacy, and then you look at another guy who ducked a great fight that would have been for legacy. But here's Shakur. Shakur says, I turned down a shot at Undisputed because I couldn't get more than 25%. Instead, I'd rather fight the guy with one belt who pays more money. But it's not about the money, it's about the legacy. No, it's obviously all about the money, Shakur, because you could have fought Devin Haney, a pound for pound fighter who was undisputed, right? But you chose to not fight him because 25% wasn't enough for you. Only to fight a bunch of mediocre fighters since then, where you didn't fucking generate nearly as much money as you would have generated fighting Devin Haney for 25%. 25% of fucking $20 million is $5 million bucks. Or not 5 million, but a little less. 8, it's good money. Career high payday. Now you fight Tio and you're getting big money, but fucking Tio already has a loss. People know that he struggles with boxers, so it looks like you're specifically cherry picking a style. You're picking a guy in Tio who you know stylistically is going to have problems with you. Yet the longer, taller fighter, naturally bigger fighter, who's also slick in Devin Haney, which would have forced you probably to become more aggressive if you wanted to beat him. You didn't fight him because the money wasn't enough. But yet now you're talking about legacy. No, the legacy fight was Devin Haney. Not to say that obviously Tio's not a legacy fight. It is a legacy fight as well. Tio's obviously a great name on your resume. And for you to become a three-weight world champion, that's great. But now you're still, in my opinion, behind Devin Haney. If Devin Haney beats Brian Norman and becomes a three-weight world champion, he's done significantly more than you. You're older. Like Shakur's older than Devin Haney. Right? And he was a vacant title champion at 126, a unified champion at 130, a vacant champion at 135. And now you're going to become a legitimate champion at 140 if you can beat him. AB wasn't letting his hands go. Paulie was overwhelming with volume. If you count Tank 140 belt, which they do, you got to count Rolly's 135 pounds. I don't count Tank's 140-pound belt. Who does that? So then you count Golovkin's record of title defenses that beats fucking Bernard Hopkins or ties Bernard Hopkins. So you count that, right? So Golovkin tied or passed Bernard Hopkins' middleweight title defense record. Right? If you're going to pick one, you got to pick both. Who wins, Crawford or Antonio Margarito fantasy matchup? Oh, Crawford. Tio had faster feet and hands than Shakur and is more athletic. But what does that mean? He fucking struggles when he fights boxers. He looks pedestrian against boxers. I'm picking Shakur, but I like the fight even though it could be a bit boring. It could be very boring. Both waiting to counter, exactly. That fight needs to be in an 18 by 18 ring. I agree. You definitely don't want a bigger ring for that fight because that's just going to make it even fucking worse. And that's not a criticism. I mean, some styles just don't link very well. Shakur versus Tio doesn't look like it's going to be a very entertaining fight on paper, but obviously it's still a legacy fight. Pac-Man gets called 8th division champion, but really is only a 6th division champion. Same kind of thing. Yeah, six division champion is still fucking Hall of Fame. There's only like four other guys in boxing history who've done that. Pac-Man won a regular belt and an IBO belt. You pulling out different things doesn't justify. You're trying to make Rolly Romero into something he's not. Rolly never even beat a world champion to earn a title. Come on, man. Like, the only reason you're dick riding fucking Rolly is because you're trying to hype up Tank Davis. We get you. We understand. You fucking hype up fucking Rolly. You hype up fucking Ryan. You can hype up fucking Lopez. Also, you can act like Tank Davis has a great resume. Because that's what you have to do to convince yourself. I count Pac-Man ring belt. Well, there you go. The ring belt and the IBO don't count. Well, IBO don't count, but Ring Magazine basically tells you you are the best fighter in the division. Ring Magazine gave you the title. They wouldn't give you the Ring Magazine title if you were the IBO champion. You'd need to be the IBO champion and another champion as well. But let's keep perusing through. Salute, Jay Perez. So this was an interesting one. Here you get Jake Paul, the number one pay-per-view superstar in America, 108 million views on Netflix with Mike Tyson. Canelo Crawford, 41 million views. Huge success, obviously, with that Canelo Bud Crawford fight. Pacquiao, Floyd, 4-6. McGregor, Pacquiao, 4-3. And then, of course, De La Hoya, Pacquiao, 4.2. Pacquiao on one of those, De La Hoya on one of those, Floyd on 3, Canelo and Crawford on the other 2. And then, of course, Jake Paul, the face of boxing in America. Psh. The question is, what do you think Tank Davis, Jake Paul's fight is going to do in comparison to this? Obviously, if it's on Netflix, it's going to do more significant amount of buys, right? You know, it's not pay-per-view. The difference between pay-per-view buys and Netflix, look how significant it is. You know, 4.6 million compared to 41 million. But I don't think Jake Paul and Tank Davis does more than Canelo Crawford, in my opinion. I think it does far less because Crawford and Canelo was a legitimate fight. Jake Paul versus Tank Davis is not legitimate. Jake Paul versus Tyson is more legitimate because you got a fucking social media boxer versus a retired boxer. So, you know, people could understand that they're more on a similar level. It's not recognized. Sean, will you give the Zuffa belt credibility? What Zuffa belt? Zuffa belt is going to be recognized by Ring Magazine, like every other top fighter. I recognize Ring Magazine. Sean, you like Laura Janabek? I don't know if it's a great fight to watch, but I like that it's happening. Tank versus Jake will be on that list. Yeah, only because Netflix. Tank isn't as famous as Tyson. Nowhere close to as famous as Tyson. That's why I think when you look at this fight, I don't think it does the numbers that Canelo Alvarez, Bud Crawford did. Because Tank is not as fucking popular as Canelo Alvarez. Then, of course, you have this. And I thought this stat was pretty interesting. So wins against Hall of Famers. Pacquiao, 12 wins against Hall of Famers. Floyd, 10 wins versus Hall of Famers. And, of course, Bud Crawford, 1 win against a future Hall of Famer. But that's a little subjective. When you think about future Hall of Famers that Bud Crawford fought, Errol Spence potentially could be on that list. That's 2. Then you got to think about other fighters he fought in his career that potentially could be on that list as well. Off the top of my head, you know, I'm not sure who else would be there right now. But we understand why Crawford doesn't have more great names on his resume. One of those reasons was because PBC fighters blatantly ducking him. Oh, Sean Porter could easily be on the Hall of Fame as well, so that's 3. So, yeah. But it's interesting when you look at wins against Hall of Famers, because right now, of course, everyone is hyping up Bud Crawford based on his great victory over Canelo and comparing him, obviously, specifically to Floyd Mayweather. But when you compare him to Floyd and Pacquiao, the legitimacy of his resume pales in comparison to them, right? It's interesting because John Boxing, as an example, he loves to talk about opponents mean everything. Chasing titles and hardware is irrelevant, right? But when he says that, he only means it with non-black fighters. So he'd use that argument to shit on Pacquiao. But with regards to Floyd, he wouldn't use that argument, right? The truth is, I mean, at this point of their careers, you got to give both Floyd and Pacquiao more credit than Bud Crawford, even though what Crawford has done in becoming a three-weight undisputed champion is more significant than what they did. And if he becomes a six-weight world champion, he equals something that obviously both of them have accomplished. But his resume still pales in comparison to Floyd Mayweather and Pacquiao. Tank, Sean Porter will be a Hall of Famer. I don't think he deserves to be a Hall of Famer. The guy fucking won his title but never defended it once. Ricky Burns is the other Hall of Famer on his resume. I don't know if Ricky Burns is a Hall of Famer either, but he is a three-weight world champion. So according to Bobby777, Ricky Burns definitely deserves to be on the Hall of Fame. Gamboa could have been a Hall of Famer, but he won't be a Hall of Famer. Khan, maybe. Brook, no. What did Brook do? You can't even tell me Brook's best win at 100. Oh, sorry, you can. His best win at 147 was against Sean Porter, when Sean Porter once again couldn't win defending his welterweight title. Then he got knocked out by Golovkin, knocked out by Errol Spence, and then fought nobodies, and then finally beat fucking Khan as an old man fight. Yes, I think Burns, Gamboa, Porter, Khan, and Brook. The only one really that I think potentially could be a Hall of Famer is Amir Khan. But the problem is Amir Khan's chin let him down so much that I don't know if you'd even put him on the list. Burns, no. Gamboa had the upside, but he ended up fucking signing with multiple promoters, being inactive, not getting big fights, finally getting Crawford, got beat, and then fucking didn't do anything for years until he fucking was cherry picked by Tank Davis. Let's keep scrolling through. So I just saw this comment as well on social media, comparing obviously Torres to Atoma, talking about who's the best out of the two. At this point, obviously Atoma has fought the better resume, but Torres is potentially doing something that Atoma is being criticized for. Atoma was criticized because it looks as if he ducked the fight with the Cuban fighter, the PBC guy. But apparently it looks like Torres is going to fight the Cuban fighter to end up earning his world title fight. And if he does that, that's fucking great work for Torres. But people also got to compare. Torres is 30 years old. Atoma is 20. 20! So you got a 30-year-old that's fast-tracked because he's got to get his money now, taking on a legitimate opponent in a Cuban, who, of course, Caballal knocked out and hasn't really done anything since Caballal knocked him out. So him jumping in to fight Torres now, we'll see if he can bounce back after his first career loss and knockout loss. Atoma has the whole career ahead of him. The kid's 20 fucking years old. 20. I think it's not even comparable. There's no fucking chance I think Torres is as good as fucking Moses Atoma. And that's not hate. That's just fucking reality. Between the two of them, it'd be a good fight. They're both small heavyweights, so it would be an interesting matchup. Maybe we can get that matchup if Torres ends up becoming a world champion, which would probably have to mean that Usyk dropped all his titles. But let's make a closer comparison. You can see right here. See, this is the problem with many boxing fans. Abdullah Mason and Moses Atoma are both praised as two of the best young up and coming fighters in boxing. Obviously, one American, one British, right? Moses, oh, sorry, I put the names in the wrong group. I should switch Moses and Abdullah Mason's face. Moses is going to potentially fight Michael Hunter, Adele, and of course is being criticized because he didn't fight Frank Sanchez. But when you look at the rankings right now, Michael Hunter is ranked above Frank Sanchez. Michael Hunter's only loss came to Usyk at cruiserweight. One of his draws was a very controversial loss or a draw to Povetkin, a fight most people feel that he won handily. So Michael Hunter is a way more proven, way more accomplished opponent than Frank Sanchez. But still, Atoma is going to be criticized for taking on this level of opposition as a 20-year-old. As far as David Adelaide, this is a British fighter, big power, right? In the UK, you do this fight in the O2 Arena. Atoma and Adelaide is going to sell out the fucking O2. It's a great matchup between two British fighters. So all of the UK would be really psyched by that fight as well, just because you have two British fighters facing each other. And obviously, you know, for Moses, this is a good opponent, solid fighter, good power, and should be a very entertaining matchup. You look at Abdullah Mason. This is a guy who's getting a WBO world title fight fighting Sam Noakes. Who the fuck is Sam Noakes? And what's Sam Noakes done? Nobody's being critical of Abdullah Mason because he's getting a world title fighting for a vacant belt versus Sam fucking Noakes. But people are criticizing Moses Atoma for potentially fighting David Adelaide or Mike Hunter as opposed to Frank Sanchez. Just wrap your head around that. Moses is going to get a world title fight easily anyway. He don't need to necessarily fight fights people want him to fight. He's already one of the biggest names in UK boxing. He's the fastest rising up and coming heavyweight in the world. But it shows you the difference between how some people are criticized and some people are fucking given a complete pass. Abdullah Mason is given a complete pass. If he beats and destroys Sam Noakes, people are going to talk about him being pound for pound one of the best fighters in boxing, even though who the fuck is Sam Noakes? If Moses goes in there and destroys Michael Hunter, people are going to say it's a great win, but they're going to fucking downplay it. Even though Michael Hunter is a way more significant fucking victory than Sam fucking Noakes. And the irony is Abdullah Mason is 21 years old. Moses Atoma is 20. He's younger than fucking Abdullah Mason. Right? People are just mental with the hate that they love to push. See, there you go. Bobby jumping on it. Moses be calling a duck a lot, saying he ducked Frank Sanchez, which is the winner, fights Usyk. Well, Sean, people are hyping Moses up like he's a young Mike Tyson. He's ranked number one by the WBO and WBA. My point exactly. He's already in position to get a world title fight. His team is preparing him for world title fights. He doesn't need to fight Frank Sanchez because some people think Frank Sanchez is better than Michael Hunter. Let's put that to the test, right? We'll put that to the test right here, right now. It's very easy. You can go on BoxRec and you can see both of their careers. It's right there in black and white. Heavyweight rankings. Let's check it out. So, Michael Hunter by BoxRec is ranked number 10. So he's considered a top 10 heavyweight in boxing. This man, 24, 1-2, 17 KOs, never been beaten. 37, 6'2" with an 80-inch reach. We go to his career. The last time he lost was 2017 when he fought Alexander Usyk to a unanimous decision in a fight where he gave fucking that dude a shitload of problems. Since then, He's went on to beat Martin fucking Bacoli. Martin Bacoli, who Anthony Joshua just might be fighting in Africa sometime in 2026. He beat Olympic silver medalist Sergey Zumin. He beat Olympic gold medalist Alexander Povetkin. He drew with Povetkin, but everybody knows it was a robbery. Had a draw versus Jerry Forrest, very tough fighter. Beat Cassius Chaney in his most recent fight that meant something, who was 23-1. So, this guy's done far more than fucking Sanchez. So he keeps scrolling down. Torres somehow is ranked 14th. I don't know how he's ranked so high. Moses is 18th. Frank Sanchez is ranked 20th. $25, 1-0, 18 KOs, been knocked out once. 33 years old. Obviously, just losing recently to Cabial, getting knocked out in 7 rounds after beating overhyped fighter Junior Fa, stopping him in 7 rounds. Then you look, he beat Efe Ajagba. That's probably the most significant victory of his career, going the distance with Efe Ajagba. And in his last fight, he fought this kid who was 18-24. Come on. What's up, Just 234? If Frank Sanchez leads to a Usyk fight, why not, Sean? As you just stated, he's already the number 1 ranked fighter by the WBO and WBA. He's going to get a world title fight anyway. He doesn't need to jump through hoops with the WBA or whoever is probably the WBA pushing the Sanchez fight, because, of course, Sanchez is a PBC fighter. So it's probably the WBA that ordered that. But let's look at the rankings just to be specific, just to be sure, because I don't want to say something that's wrong. Maybe it's not the WBA. Maybe it's a different ranking. Boxing rankings. So right now, IBF, Usyk is number 1. The number 1 position is vacant. Derek Chisora is number 2. Efe Ajagba is number 3. Frank Sanchez is 4. Moses Atoma is 5. So maybe it is the IBF. Dubois and Hrgovic, and Anderson and Hunter and Bacoli and Jalilov, top 12. For the WBA, Usyk is number 1. Pulev is regular. Wardley is interim. Moses Atoma is number 1. And he's apparently going to fight Michael Hunter, who's number 2. So is there a difference? That's the WBA. So you could fight Hunter and guarantee yourself a win and a WBA world title fight. For WBC, Cabial is interim. Usyk is the champion. Akoli, Dubois, Joshua, Atoma is 4. Sanchez is 8. For the WBO, Usyk and Parker, Moses Atoma is number 1. Hrgovic is number 2. From what I've heard, Hrgovic ducked the fight with Moses. Jilly Jang, Okoli, Dubois, Anderson, Joshua, Chisora. None of Hunter or Sanchez are ranked by the WBO. So the point is, you could go the WBA route, fight Hunter, guarantee yourself a WBA world title fight. Specifically, what I think they're doing is chasing after the regular belt. I think they're planning on beating Kubalev afterwards, depending on, I think he's going to fight Wardley, right? Wardley is going to fight Pulev. And then the winner of that, I think Moses is probably going to fight for the WBA regular title. Primarily because Wardley and fucking Atoma in the UK is a fucking great fight. Way more interesting than Sanchez. That's the other thing about Sanchez. The dude's boring as fuck. Boring as fuck. Typical Cuban fighter, right? So for me, I would put Atoma in with David Adelaide, not Michael Hunter. Too dangerous too soon. Adelaide, you knock his ass out. Then you fucking fight the winner of Pulev and Wardley, probably Wardley. And that fight is huge in the UK. Huge. Yeah, You say Haney outclassed Wardley all fight and then got knocked the fuck out. See, Bobby, what you don't understand is they're trying to build Moses into a superstar. You have him fight Wardley for a WBA regular title. That's a fight that's going to be hugely anticipated in the UK. We don't care about Americans and what you guys think because the truth is, you don't want to give a UK heavyweight fucking any praise at all. You don't want to give Usyk praise. So they're not really fucking worrying about you because they know you guys don't know shit about boxing. But to be fair, Wardley and fucking Moses, a 20 fucking year old versus Wardley, who's like 30 something, obviously on the fast track because, he started boxing late. It's a great fight. Wardley's got great power. Justice got great speed. Man, it's a fantastic matchup. You beat those two fucking British fighters in 2025, 2026 to become a WBA regular champion. You're 21 years old now, and you have a regular title. And obviously, you're right in line to be elevated once Usyk retires for that WBA world title. Who got a glass jaw? Atoma? You're just proving my point about the unfair criticism. You notice you made all these comments regarding fucking Moses Atoma, being critical of him. But I didn't hear you say anything about Abdullah Mason fighting an unknown UK fighter for a vacant WBO title. Actually, I hear people criticizing Top Rank because they're not putting Abdullah Mason in with tough enough competition. But this is exactly what you think a promoter should do. They put you in with competition they know you should beat to become a world champion, meaning now you're going to earn more money, you have more name recognition, that promoter now has another world champion, and now they can start building you up for bigger and better fights and bigger money fights and turning you into a pay-per-view star, right? And that's what Bob Arum and Top Rank are going to do with Abdullah Mason. They're moving him perfectly. They're not in a rush. And the same should be true for Moses Atoma. There's no fucking rush. People say Noakes is good. I haven't done enough homework on him. Noakes is a UK fighter, right? Who never fucking beat anybody of note. So how good could he be? In all fairness. I mean, you hype a guy up, but what has he done really? I thought Turkey made Abdullah Noakes. Well, I'm not sure the specifics of who made it, but it's top ranked fighters fighting on, Turkey cards. That's everybody's fighting on Turkey cards now. So, who is better today, Jojo Diaz or Sam Noakes? Jojo Diaz is a legitimate world champion. Sam Noakes at this point is an unknown commodity that hasn't accomplished fucking anything in boxing. But Sam Noakes is young and primed, undefeated. Jojo Diaz is old, fighting outside his weight division against bigger opponents, just getting paid, making sure he makes as much money as he can before he retires. Yeah. But Schofield fighting Jojo, right? There, once again, you're critical of somebody fighting a weaker opponent, but not Abdullah Mason. Everybody knows that Floyd Schofield fighting Jojo is not a great fight. What we thought Schofield was going to do was fight Raymond Muratalla. And people are literally on this live, telling me that Schofield would destroy fucking Muratalla. Muratalla is shit, one-dimensional, not that good. But yet, Schofield literally, once again, ducked the world title fight. Ducked fucking Shakur world title fight. Now is ducking Raymond Muratalla fight to fight old-ass Jojo Diaz. After beating old-ass Tevin Farmer. But that's the way Golden Boy fighters get moved, right? This is the problem with politics. You look at what Turki Al Sheikh does, and you look at what Golden Boy does when they just do their own situations. All these promoters do more when Turkey is prodding them with the fucking fiery poker. When these guys have opportunities to do what they want, generally they're gonna fucking cherry pick opponents to try to showcase their fighters and get paid and make sure they keep that fucking belt. UFC on fire tonight. Andy Cruz is a fighter who has me lost. Like, dude, what are you doing? I think he's doing the same thing that we saw the quote from Shakur Stevens. Shakur didn't think 25% was fair, so he didn't take the world title fight. I think Andy Cruz and his team don't think 25% is all right, so they're fucking walking away from a world title fight with Raymond Muratalla. But why does Andy Cruz deserve more than 25 to 30%? Like, he deserves whatever the split is, 70-30, 65-35. I don't know what it is, 75-25. Each sanctioning body has differences, right, in their splits. But I think that's why they're doing it. They know they're mandatory, but they don't want to get paid like a mandatory. They want to get paid like 50-50. But if you were Raymond Muratalla, why would you fight this boring-ass Cuban fighter who's going to be difficult to beat and expect to split 50-50 with him? Never. Pereira versus Jones, and the winner fights Aspinall. I thought Jones retired. I would like Jones versus Pereira. That's a great style matchup for sure. Teal beat Shakur, was the underdog against Loman Taylor, and still won. Shakur was getting backed up and punched in by Bum Zepeda. Well, Evan Deere, we know your takes on boxing are terrible, so nobody's going to be too quick to jump on your fucking bandwagon. Everyone, bet for Shakur to fucking beat Teal. Evan Deere's picking the other way, so you know it's easy money. John Jones takes down Alex easy. Aspinall has a wrestling background to defend it. Well, John Jones is old, buddy. Old and not that motivated anymore. Teal will be the underdog and beat his third fighter on a pound-for-pound list. Andy's not boring. Andy's boring. The new generation of Cubans not boring except Skull. To be fair, the new generation of Cubans are exciting, but not fucking Andy Cruz. John Jones and Conor McGregor want to fight on Donald Trump's White House card. They should. That's great. I want to fight on Donald Trump's White House card for America's 50th birthday. Dana would be nervous with those two messing up somehow and fight gets canceled. Well, that's 100% fucking accurate for sure. Those guys are wild cards. They're going to want huge money, but at the same time, they're fucking easily going to get fucking caught cranking fucking roids or fucking drugs somewhere. Sean don't rock with the Cuban boxers at all. That's not true. I like David Morrell. I like Iglesias. 250. Sorry, I'm Canadian. The 154 guy that got beat. The 140 guy I like. So the new generation of Cubans I do like. Here. Since you think I'm a hater, Cuba. 160 Cuban guy is really good too. Who? Lara? Iglesias at 168 is exciting. Iglesias is. Here you go. I already made this pay-per-view or this PowerPoint all to hype up Cuba. So, Jadir Herrera, super exciting kid. 17-0, 15 KOs. This kid is fucking exciting. Throw him in with Abdullah Mason, right? That would be a fucking great fight. The young Cuban at 160 who beat Ellis. Yeah. He'll come up soon. Tellez, 10-0, 10-1, and 7 now. Obviously, Tellez lost his most recent fight. But that's nothing to be, hated on. The fight between him and fucking Abbas was fucking one of the fights of the year. So definitely not boring. That was a great fight. This guy, you mean? Yonil Hernandez, right? Is that the guy? There you are. Yeah. 7-0 with 7 KOs. Now I think 8-0 with 8 KOs. Obviously a monster. Gary Russell, Hiroka got made. Great fight. I have Hiroka winning. You always bet against the black American fighter, eh? Iglesias, 13-0 with 12 knockouts. Potentially the best fighter at 168 pounds. But obviously, we got to see him in with the other top competition to see if he's really that good. David Morrell, 11-1, 9 KOs. Obviously, now I think he's 12-1 with 9 KOs, even though most people feel he lost to that tough Russian fighter. Sean, is Hiroka any good? Well, put it this way, Hiroka already knocked out the Japanese fighter that Brian Norman Jr. knocked out recently. Andy Hiroka knocked that guy out a few years ago. So that guy had already been exposed by Andy Hiroka. And Andy Hiroka just destroyed the old-ass Venezuelan guy that Rolly Romero was gifted a victory over. Destroyed him. Yeah, beating Ismael Barrasso. So he's also mixed race, right? He's black Japanese. So even the racist YouTubers like John Boxing should be down with Andy Hiroka because Andy Hiroka, he got some brother in him, right? We know if you're black, you're black. Don't matter if you're white, Japanese, Chinese. If one of your parents is black, then you're black. So Andy Hiroka, for all argument, is black. Rolly was going to finish him. Bullshit. Boots, why is the Boots hate so rampant? I don't know. I think because he didn't sign with the PBC. We always see those haters fucking pull that shit against other black fighters. Rolly sleeps Pacquiao. It will be devastating for you. Why would it be devastating for me? I've seen better fighters than Rolly Romero knock out Pacquiao. Juan Manuel Marquez. Pacquiao's going to be 47, 48 years old. He has no reason to be in a ring at this point of his career. Boo's fighting a no-hoper. Can't wait for Virgil to show out. Oh, Evan, you hate the black American, eh? Though you're hyping up Virgil, who's cherry-picking fucking Erickson and Lubin. Instead of fighting a world title champion like Murtazaliev, oh, I can't make the IBF rehydration clause. Or fighting Xander Zayas, oh, he's ducking me. He don't want to fight. You're fighting fucking Lubin. But you're going to be critical of Boots. Yeah, okay. Boots only took one tune-up. Boots ain't fighting nobody, laugh out loud. Lubin is a top 10 fighter. Not at this point of his career, he shouldn't be. Murata is being ducked by everyone. Boots I like, but I hope we don't see another tune-up after Lima. Yeah, well, after Lima, right, he's got to get in there with a named fighter for sure. Then you got this guy, the cruiserweight, Lenio Perez, 14-0 with 14 KOs. This guy, Lenio Pero, heavyweight, 12-0 with 8 KOs, right? I don't know what these ones were, but obviously I'm not hating on Cuban fighters. I made this PPT to give them some attention. Lima's top 10. Well, everybody's top 10 in one sanctioning body, so you got to be specific. If you say overall, I would say Lima is not an overall top 10 154-pound fighter. If you say top 10 ranked by a sanctioning body, I'm like, for sure he is. If you look at the IBF, Murtazaliev is champion. Number 1 and 2 are vacant. And you have Lima, number 9. John Ennis, number 6. The winner of this is probably going to become a mandatory for Bakram Murtazaliev's world title. Abbas is the champion. John Ennis is number 1. Lima is number 8 again with the WBA. So obviously you beat him, you become mandatory for the WBA title. John Ennis is number 1, by the WBC. Lima is number 10. So you're taking on a guy that's top 10 in 3 sanctioning bodies. For the WBO, Lima is not ranked, and neither is Boots Ennis. So there you go. This is not BoxRec, right? This is the legitimate rankings. I'm not sure what BoxRec says, but Bobby, within 3 of the 4 sanctioning bodies, Lima is a top 10 ranked sanctioning body fighter. Do you think Lubin is ranked by all of them? Lubin is not ranked by the WBO. Lubin is number 5 by the WBC. Lubin is not ranked by the WBA. Lubin is not ranked by the fucking WBC. So literally, Lubin is ranked by 1 sanctioning body. 1. He was ranked by the IBF, right? But the IBF dropped his ass because he ducked Mirzaliev to go fight fucking Virgil. When American fans don't know a fighter, they call the guy trash. Exactly. Like, Lima is ranked in 3 of the 4 sanction bodies. Lubin is ranked in 1. Do the math. Do you think Calzaghe should have won Best British Fighter ever over Lennox Lewis? Yes, because Lennox Lewis is Canadian. Now BoxRec rankings blow. You can't win with these guys. To be fair, BoxRec's rankings do blow. They don't fucking recognize the WBA, so that also doesn't help the argument as well. It just discredits them even more. But let's look, super welterweight, what does BoxRec say? Lubin is number 7, Lima is number 9. So there you go. So according to BoxRec gives Lubin more credit than the sanctioning bodies do. And for Lima, he's pretty much on par. He's number 8 to number 10 in all 3 sanctioning bodies. And here he's number 9 by BoxRec. So it's pretty legitimate. Abbas, who's a world champion, is number 10. Adamus is 11. You know. Who's the guy that they're talking about? Yeah, he's not even ranked. He's still fucking probably a 147-pound fighter. Yeah. What's a credible ranking website? Overall, Ring Magazine. Ring Magazine division rankings. Junior middleweight. Currently no Ring Magazine champion. So they got Ring Magazine vacant, Virgil number 1, Sebastian number 2, Virgil number 1, but he's never fought a champion. Madrimov 3, Bakram Mirzaliev 4, Lubin 5, Xander 6, Adam 7, Ramos 8, even though Ramos just moved up to middleweight, Abbas 9, and Boholchuk 10. Lima not ranked. But thanks everyone for jumping in. I appreciate it. And obviously, I'm going on vacation next week. This week we have a day off on Monday and a day off on Friday. So I'm taking the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday off and going south to the beach. So I'm going to be making some videos from the beaches, talking about boxing. So stay tuned and we'll chop it up down in southern Taiwan. Peace out. Have a good one. I'll see you guys at the beach.